Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mentor Talks. I'm Asha Bay, and we are going to be getting started soon. So I hope you can join us for this special episode where we're getting to talk to two powerful women who are making a difference in their communities. I'm just going to invite my colleague on. Hello, everyone. Hi, Huda. So let us know where you're joining us from. Oh, and the program you did, the exchange program you did. It'd be cool to hear about that. So the topic of our conversation today, women, democracy, and power. Okay, so we'll be getting started in a few minutes, but we're glad you're here and looking forward to the conversation. If you have any questions for Huda or Anna, who are our guests, feel free to type them in the comments. And our colleague Emily is standing by, so she'll let us know what the questions are. Thanks, Emily. Okay, we're going to do one more time to try to get my co-host on. Yes, so as Emily mentioned, please post any questions you might have for our guest in the chat, and also let us know where you're joining us from. Thank you, Huda. Okay, well, I'm going to start doing some intros while we're waiting for my co-host. But as some of you may already know, my name is Asha Bay, and I'm your host. I'm joining you from the Office of Alumni Affairs in ECA, which is the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs at the U.S. Department of State. And this is our show, Mentor Talks, where we talk to Exchange Alumni leaders and hear their advice and share that with you, and also hear how they made it in their careers, and also hear about their exchange experiences. So, and just a little bit about our office in Alumni Affairs. Our office opens the doors to the Million Strong Exchange Alumni Network, professional development, and grant opportunities for alumni of U.S. government educational and cultural exchange programs. And I'm going to try one more time for my co-host. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and invite our guests today, who we're talking to two women who are joining us in honor of Women's History Month, and they're two women we also happen to find very inspiring, Anna Bondarenko and Huda Bhurgri. Anna is from Ukraine and Huda is from Pakistan. Hello, hi.
Hello.
Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Good to see you. So Anna is the founder and head of the Ukrainian Volunteers Network, which started in the spirit of volunteerism that Anna learned during her Flex program in the United States. From the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian Volunteer Service has mobilized over 100,000 volunteers to take on the challenges of the war. And our next guest, Huda, is a gender monitoring and evaluation and development expert, as well as a women's rights activist in Pakistan. She has been one of the key organizers of the Women's March in Islamabad since 2019, and her blogs on political issues have received more than 10 million views. Huda is also a global UGrad Exchange alumni. So Anna and Huda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so very much for having us. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Sure. So before we get to questions from our audience, and I don't know if we have any there yet, but we're going to get started with a couple that we have. You're both women with formidable backgrounds. How did you get involved with championing women's rights and also with volunteerism? And Anna, do you want to take that one first?
Well, yeah, I can start, and I know that Huda has so many stories to share as well. Well, for me personally, I have never expected, myself to get engaged into building democracy, volunteering, and all kinds of those activities. All of the things just happened to me and happened with me. And my exchange year, it has been more than 10 years ago. It was in 2011 in California, Jamestown. And at that point, I was 15 years old, and I was so shy, and I was so afraid of everything. And for me, this first experience, of not living with my parents, of being in a whole different community, the first experience actually of volunteering in the United States, it was something, kind of from the movies, something that just cannot happen in real life, just happens in movies, in cinema, whatever. So I started to volunteer, and I started, just to be a part of the community, and I loved it. And then when I came back from the United States, back home to Odessa, Ukraine, I just, couldn't stop volunteering. And together with a group of local volunteers, we just started, to organize different events, social activities, just to kind of, start to create a volunteer community. And then, of course, after the evolution of dignity in Ukraine, everybody just started to get involved more and more and more. And that's how in 2017, we decided to create Ukrainian Volunteer Service as an organization that would help others to get involved in volunteering, to make it easier for people to become volunteers, to find people who have the same interests and values, and to get involved in all those kinds of activities. So yeah, for me, it wasn't my plan initially, but it just happened, and I'm really glad that it happened with me and to me.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. And Huda, what's your story?
Well, I come from a rural background, and I think even before I got got the
got in the exchange program, I was already active in my community. I studied in a public university, studied in a very humble education background. So I was already active at the community level and engaged with mobilizing youth for very small activities, working with different community-based organizations regarding sexual harassment at workplaces, or the civic education, democracy, political participation. So I think that experience actually within my own community even helped me to get into UGrad, because I had to demonstrate leadership abilities, something that why would I why I should be selected. So I think that already experience within my own community helped me to even get into UGrad. And once I was part of that process, I think it did help me to see things from different perspectives. And one major aspect to it was because I was enrolled in a university, West Virginia, West Liberty University. I took a course on social justice, and that was for the first time that I studied what social justice is and what are these different approaches. Like the intersectionality, to be very frank, was something very new, and also the academic experience that I got from there enhanced my, I can say, intellectual abilities to deconstruct the issues that are that women are, or people are facing in my country. And interestingly, I did not know that I was feminist when I was writing that statement of purpose, but rather if today I read it, it is loudly, it is saying that yes, I was feminist. I saw the gender discrimination. I was able to look at the inequalities that women are facing, and from those experiences, from coming from a rural background, seeing, interacting with patriarchy at every single step, regardless of your class, regardless of your geographical location, your age, your color, your ethnicity, patriarchy affected women and men and transgenders and everyone at every single stage. And that interaction with patriarchy, constant interaction with patriarchy, somehow inspired me to be part of a movement and do do contribute in building that movement. So maybe we are able to question the very structural and institutionalized inequalities that exist in our society. And although we see them usually that, oh, this is something, a third world problem, or maybe it is a Western world problem. No, patriarchy is global. It is a global phenomena. It does not pick and choose. And when it affects America, like with Joe versus Wade, we already have this example, right? It transcends, and it transcends, and it affects countries like Pakistan also. So I think that the very ability to contribute, to do a little bit, even in my own capacity, whatever I can, I felt that I should get into it. I should do my part, and that inspiration is, I would say that personal is political, and every issue is a feminist issue. So this is how my engagement in activism started.
Okay. I agree with you that these issues are global, and what happens in one country can also affect another. Yeah, I just wanted to actually dive into that a little bit more. How do you think, how's that affected you in the Roe versus Wade decision?
Yeah, so for example, the issue regarding women's agency over their bodies is actually a very primary issue that most of the Muslim countries are facing. We have heard about female genital mutilation. We have heard about ban on abortions, or considering abortions as something that is unreligious or un-Islamic. So when such kind of laws are repelled, which gave or granted women an access and autonomy over their bodies in a country like USA, the same right wing is active in other countries as well, and we have seen the same narrative is passed down here as well, because we see that people who want to control women bodies and talk about these pro-choice pro-life approaches and everything, what they do is they actually don't care about women or the children. They care about, they don't care about the child when that child is born and brought into the world, right? Because that system does not allow paid leaves, that system does not allow maternity leave, that system does not allow education for the children. And this is exactly the same issue that we are facing in Pakistan. We cannot, like, a woman can access abortion services if it is a life-threatening condition or if she's a victim or survivor of rape and abuse. Otherwise, she cannot. So I think this puts this way of controlling women's bodies, even till today. The very patriarchal, like, we have always seen patriarchy outside our homes, but patriarchy is very much within our homes, which we call private patriarchy. And it is affecting women anywhere, like everywhere in the world. So it does affect Pakistan as well. And I hope that Anna might have, like, some similar maybe experiences in her country.
Yes, tell us, Anna.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because while Huda was talking, I was just thinking that in Ukraine, we have actually a weird situation, because on the one hand, women and girls of different ages, they are in many regions of Ukraine right now in a constant threat. We see how in the front line, how in the territory that are occupied by Russian forces, actually women and girls are usually the target, because Russian forces, when they enter the cities, the soldiers, there is a lot of cases of rape, of torture, and different kinds of behavior, especially towards women and girls. And unfortunately, we've seen so many situations of girls whose cities were liberated, and when those girls were asked, have you experienced rape or other kinds, of torture from Russian soldiers? They said yes. Are you ready to ask for help? Are you ready to go to a psychologist? We can support you with financial support, psychological support. They say no, because they're too ashamed, to accept the fact or to tell that, yes, I experienced this experience. And that is one of the things that's really awful. And unfortunately, we see a lot of rape towards girls who are really young, even as young as 3, 4, 5 years old. And that is something that happens right now. But what's actually interesting is that, on the other hand, from the first day of the full-scale invasion that had started a year ago, we have experienced this huge women empowerment movement in Ukraine. We always knew that our women are amazing. Like, we always had this feeling within the country. But what we've seen is how women took responsibility, in so many different spheres. So right now on the battlefield, we have amazing girls and women who are serving and defending the country, who learned, how to defend the country, even though they had no idea, about medicine or about fighting. On the other hand, we see so many girls and women who took responsibility in a political sphere, our MPs, our deputies, the ones who are working both in the country, but also outside the country. And we have this amazing group of women who have actually been advocating for weapons for Ukraine, and those are women who are saying, like, we need weapons, not because we want, the aggression or the war to continue. We actually need weapons to stop the war and stop the suffering, and save all those people in the occupied territories or the frontline territories, because the weapons are the only way to stop it, in a short-term and long-term perspective. So that is actually interesting, because while living in a country with a constant, missile attack and people being killed on frontline and civilians who are suffering, it actually inspires me how, despite all of these horrors, a lot of people are starting to get involved. And what is actually interesting, just one last thing that I'm thinking a lot right now, is that people and women and girls who are right now volunteering, they are not democracy activists. They have no idea what, they cannot, say a term democracy from the vocabulary, they don't speak a lot of them actually don't speak English, they speak Ukrainian, they're just, just common people who have, a lot of them don't have university degree, but they do the job, and they do it despite the fact that every one of them can be a target. And recently I had an interview, and one of the foreign journalists, he asked me, Anna, you have recently been to Kharkiv, which is the city near the front line, which is being shelled all the time. aren't you afraid that they will kill you or do something with you? And that was the point where I realized that I'm not afraid. And I think that a lot of people in Ukraine feel the same way. You know, we are not afraid, not because there is no threat, there is a threat, but just because everybody just kind of accepts it and accept the fact that, okay, so there is a threat. We need to do whatever we can on our personal level, as you know, even if it's a small thing, we have to do it.
That's great solidarity. Thank you. And I just want to welcome my colleague, Maria Iliadis. And Maria, do you want to take the next question or do a follow-up?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Huda, Anna, it's really good to see you guys again. I got to meet both of you during the Alumni Ties in Philadelphia, so it's really great to have you on the program. It's really great to join. I feel like I want to do more of a follow-up than another question of how do you stay positive during all of this? Because you're describing these situations that are really difficult, challenging, and Huda, I know you had your challenges as well. So how do you maintain the positivity and also the drive with what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this thing that, and I think this is something that we also discussed in the Alumni Ties conference as well, that, you know, it is time that people should see human rights activists or even feminists as human beings, because I feel that there is a lot of pressure on us. Because of our own political ideologies, because we do want to, like, you know, speak about things. We want to, like, you know, sometimes do react to the injustices that happen. But then at the same time, we are isolated. It is a very lonely path. In many ways, it is a lonely path, specifically when it's about feminism, and that too in any country, regardless whether it's a secular country or it's a religious country. I think that the path is very, very, very lonely. Very few people, very few like-minded people support your narrative or your ideas. They would like to, you know, collaborate with you. They would like to share the responsibilities, you know, be active and all of that. And I think that gives you hope. Even few people who are able to connect with you, who share the same values as you do and are willing to contribute, that helps you a lot, like, you know, emotionally and psychologically to keep going. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, the level of abuse, the online abuse that human rights activists face, especially when women are active. I have like, you know, first-hand experience of being targeted on multiple platforms. I mean, you know, your family sometimes don't support you. Sometimes, like, you know, your colleagues might not be able to think about, like, you know, why? Because the feminist activism, actually, many women and men, they have patriarchal privileges, and people don't want to leave those patriarchal privileges. Like, you know, they would not want, and anyone who is used to of oppression, like, you know, equality would look like, you know, something really crazy to people, and those who already have power, and in this case men who already have so much power over women's bodies, their thoughts, the offspring that we produce, the ideas, our labor, whether it is within the homes or outside the homes, when they have so much control of all of that, it is difficult to make them understand that, you know, we want freedom from it. And they do anything, everything in order to, like, you know, discredit your movement. And this is something that we have been facing a lot. I mean, the level of backlash we receive from right-wing political parties to even general public, it is immensely, like, you know, it is too much. There are YouTubers who would, like, you know, character assassinate women marchers that I have been, like, you know, working with for a few years. And despite all of this, the only thing that I think Anna would also agree that can keep us, like, you know, going on is that you don't feel any fear anymore, because you don't have to lose anything. Because whatever we have right now, it is so discriminatory. It is so like, you know, challenging, that if you don't speak up, what else is going to happen? You know, what good you will achieve? So I think the hope that we have is, it's like that, okay, we are already in this mess, and there is only one option. Either we fight it, or either we continue it, and while doing so, pass this legacy to the next generation. So my personal idea is that, like, while I work and while I am part of any movement or collective, I work with other young women. So once, like, maybe I phase out one day, the legacy will be carried out by the other women who will carry the way feminist movement has been passed down on my generation by my the older feminists in the country. So this is, like, the hope that keeps us going, that we have to pass this torch to the next generation and build a new leadership as well, because a good leadership or any movement cannot sustain on its own or on based on few individuals. The ideology has to unite more people, and the people are supposed to carry, like, this message forward. So this has been my approach or my inspiration so far. But Anna, I am sure Anna would have, like, something more concrete, which I would also like to hear, because I know the work that she's doing is amazing.
Yeah, but I really agree with everything that Huda says, and it's really, while Huda is speaking, I'm like, yay, that feels so, close and so important. And I would just like to add that for me personally, there are three things that keep me, running and going. This is the sense of purpose, the sense of duty, and connections. And I think that, like, that's my own approach, something that helps me to go through all of the challenges. First of all, it's about the sense of purpose, and that is actually about this situation where you cannot do differently. There is no second chance, there is no second life. It's not like you can, hit a pause button and just, just stop and wait and something will change. Nothing will change if we don't change it. And for me personally, this deep feeling of purpose, that my purpose in life is to do as much as I can. I don't know whether it will be long life, or it will be like a few more days, weeks, or years, but my own purpose is to do as much as I can. The other thing which keeps me running is sense of duty, because purpose is great, and it's great to have your purpose in life, but sometimes you just have to wake up in the morning, and do the things, even though you don't want, to get up in the morning, and do something. And that feeling of duty, I think it's the second part of this purpose, because purpose gives you motivation. But duty is actually about doing something, not just talking, not just waiting, not just thinking that, okay, one day I have to do it. You just get up and do. Sometimes you fail, sometimes you don't fail. And that is just a process of life where you need to, be ready for failures, but also be ready that, okay, so something will change. And also the other thing, which is really important, and that is something that we've been talking with Huda and other Exchange alumni when we met last year, connections are really important, because you can have all of the purpose in the world, you can have all of the feeling of duty, but sometimes you just need to talk to someone who struggles in the same way, who lives in the same way, and you just have to sit down, and just talk like, I'm so tired, and the person will say, I'm tired too. And you're like, okay, so we're both tired, so we just need to, take a deep breath and just go on and on. And that is just so important, to find those people, not just in your own, like, bubble, in your friendship, but also, to find some people who are doing different things, but believe in the same values, as Huda does her amazing job in the feminist movement, as other people who are fighting for democracy, and fighting for the better world. And I think that connections are one of the most important ingredients, because at some moments, you just want to give up, but those people who don't give up, they give you the feeling that, okay, you should do a little harder this time, because if they don't give up, you cannot either.
I love that. I'm hearing a lot of, like, that community is important, connections are important in doing activism, and it's not just your singular fight on your own, but it's also you have this whole bunch of other people who are also doing similar things and you need to draw from them. I think Asha might have another question for both of you.
Well, actually, I was going to say, I did see a question in the chat. Someone was asking, what's the biggest challenge for you at the moment? Who wants to take that first?
Anna, you should go first. I'll go next.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out one challenge out of many, actually. Well, for me, I think that the biggest challenge, like, at that very moment, is actually scaling. And it's both my personal challenge, but also organizational challenge. Because, well, in Ukraine, we have been in a war for 9 years already. We have been in a full-scale invasion, full-scale war, which takes place all over the country for more than a year. And that actually changes the narrative, because we have, as people, as activists, but also as organizations, we have to, be ready to fight in the long term, and some approaches that had been working, short term, this feeling of adrenaline, of like movement, some of them really has changed this year. There's a lot of exhaustion, there's a lot of emotional exhaustions from the news, and all of that. So for me personally, the biggest challenge is actually to be able to do more, and to engage more people, to connect with more people, while also, keeping some of the personal space, at least an hour a day, just to, for myself, to be a person and not just, a head of Ukrainian volunteer service. So I think this is the biggest at that moment, but there are also so many others with the safety and health and all of the other issues.
And Huda?
Yeah, like the kind of work or struggle that me and my fellow feminist friends are into, our paths are full of challenges, and we don't see any of those challenges overcoming on its own, or maybe due to our efforts in coming years. And because the biggest challenge, I think, that is the acceptance among within the people and among the communities regarding the feminism, understanding that what feminism entails. It is not a man hating crazy cat women out on the streets. Usually they use the term that these are the divorced women, the way we are stigmatized, the way we are seen, changing that perspective, seeing, and most importantly, the biggest challenge I feel is beyond acceptance within the community. It is seeing feminist activists not from a dehumanized lens, because the level of abuse, the level of challenges, backlash, even baton charges by the police, which happened in the last march that we organized on 8th, few weeks ago, and the march that I was part of, it was baton charge. I got injured as well, and that happened on International Women's Day. This is a message that our state sent, to every single woman who is fighting for her emancipation, and who is fighting for her own rights, and wanted just one day maybe to celebrate her day, their day, and at a public space. I mean, so the challenge is seeing feminists and women rights activists not as dehumanized robots, but as human beings who are into this struggle, not because of their own personal, for example, benefits, but for the collective good of both men and women and other gender minorities. And then acceptance at the community level as well, that this activism, it is supposed to liberate each and every one of every one of us. And any emancipation which does not include each and every one is not true emancipation at all. Any freedom that does not involve each and everyone is not freedom at all. And any democracy that is not treating women, men, and all other gender minorities equally is no true democracy at all. So I think this is the level of challenge and understanding that we want to, I would personally strive for in coming years. And at the same time, being realistic, I know that I might not be able to achieve it in my lifetime. I think the feminist utopia that me and my fellow feminist friends who are listening right now, the feminist utopia that we are which we are thinking about, we might not be able to see it in our lifetime like our ancestors did. They did not see those changes, but we did. So whatever we are doing today, the only hope is that maybe I will not live up to witness the fruit of this struggle, but maybe the coming generations, the generations of those people who are not supporting us today, who are online abusing us, threatening us, giving us rape threats and all of that, maybe their daughters or women like from their families in future will feel safer, will feel like, we will have more freedom and more emancipation than we did. So this is like, and this comes from compassion. This comes from, and this is what feminism teaches you. It teaches you compassion, if nothing else. So I think this is the message that we have to give to people, that, understand this compassion. We are even like, whatever we are expecting, like, the society that we want to build, we will not reap benefits of it, not even our generation, but the next will, your generation will. So this is where I think every single person, whether men or women, they have to come together. They have to come together and they have to join hands, because this is how we will achieve any improvement in our society. I mean, I'll be honest, if a woman is fearing for her life and her safety and her dignity, because of like, and she is worried that she will be denied access to abortion services, or she will be raped because a conflict is happening in her country, or if any single woman is going through this fear and this pain, I'm sorry, I would say it again, as Mariami said, and I would quote, that peace in patriarchy is war against women. So no peace is true peace if women are unsafe, and if transgenders are unsafe, and LGBTQI community is unsafe. So I think this is how, like, we have to really think about transformative approaches to our society, that how we can make our society safe for everyone and not for one gender, and that is particularly male. So yeah, I mean, I know it is unachievable, but this is what the utopia we have to strive for, maybe one day.
Huda, it always seems impossible until it's done. So we hope, and we work, and I think that one day, I don't know, maybe you and I will not see it, but maybe some generation after us, will witness it. Have no idea about you or me or other people, but, be a part of a whole different community. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And agree so much on that we need to strive for equality for everyone, and not just for one gender or one group of people, because it's not really that equality. You might call it a utopia, but it is what we are all constantly striving for. So very, very well put. Unfortunately, it looks like we're out of time, even though we want this conversation to continue. But we have one more question before we go. So what is your number one tip for women and girls out there who want to make an impact on their communities? And who wants to take this first?
Anna.
Well, my first, but not only, but my first tip for any girl and women would be really easy. Just be yourself. And I know it's a cliche that everybody says, and writes on t-shirts, but I personally truly believe that being yourself and trusting your inner self, trusting your gut, trusting your intuition, and just going with this intuition is one of the best advices that we can give to ourselves, and to people around us. Because, with the recent years, with the pandemic of the COVID, with everything that happens all around the world is just so unpredictable in many ways. From the political, economical, and personal point of view, there are just so many things that no one can predict, and no one can actually, get ready for those challenges. It's not like there is a book, or a manual where you can just download it, just read it, and there will be a manual how to live your life, professionally, personally. So my advice would be to look into yourself, to trust yourself, to think about what is that I need, what is really important to me personally, what are my values, my hopes, and what for am I ready to fight? What are the things that make me come alive, and what is something that is really important for me to defend? And I think that going with the gut, and going with those understanding of personal values is something that every one of us, can work on, and then we can turn those thoughts into actions. And that's where the magic happens, I believe.
Beautifully put. Yeah, so I agree whatever Anna said, and I will just add something to it, that if you really want to, and any woman who is listening to me right now, if you really want to make any impact, as Anna said, that first find what is your value, and then just enter the field the way you enter a dance floor, and do your activism and do your thing like you enjoy music, and like you are dancing to it. And I'm a big fan of this one quote by Emma Goldman, and she said that if I cannot dance to it, it is not my revolution, you know. So you have to, if you're really thinking about revolutionizing the society that you are living in, you have to see your activism not as something that is boring, dull, time taking, because it is. It is. You might not see results immediately. So the one tip is to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself overwhelmed with the sheer joy that you're doing what you're doing, is dance to it, you know, do it and enjoy it, and make friends along the way. You don't have to do everything alone, you know. It is not one person's burden to carry. You have to do it, and it is fun when you do it with other people. So find those allies for you. I really would like to stress on one thing: find your allies. Find those 2-3 people with whom you can connect, who understand from where you are coming from. And trust me, when you will start looking, you will find those people. And at times, as Anna said, that you are tired, you get tired someday, so you need someone who says that, yes, I am tired, but tomorrow will be another day, and we will do it together. So the message is, build feminist solidarities. This is a new kind of relationship that a woman can have with another woman, based on shared ideology. This is a new relationship that we can define and associate ourselves. And I think this is something happened during Alumni Teas conference as well. How we women connected with each other. The way we hugged each other the very last day when the conference was over, it was this shared pain, shared hope, and the energy of solidarity and sisterhood. And I think if my takeaway, and one takeaway that was from that conference, or that meeting, was finding those women who were from different countries, different continents, spoke different languages, looked different than I am, but we all were united because of our shared experiences. So I think this cross-regional, cross-cultural solidarity is based on one singular agenda, equality, unity, emancipation. I think this can be a great, tip for anyone who would like to really make any change in their society.
That's advice from both of you, and so well put. And so thank you so much, Huda and Anna, for joining us today. And a big thank you to our whole audience for participating. If you're interested in learning more about the awesome Exchange Alumni, including Huda and Anna, you can visit our website at alumni.state.gov and follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Anna and Huda. And thanks for watching, everyone. See you all soon for our next mentor. Bye.
Bye.